And we're back again. Back painting some shit. Some shit for someone. For some guy. Some guy called Meat Canyon. AKA Papa Meat. AKA whatever his given human name is. I don't know, I think I heard it used in one of his videos one time. But I forgot what it is. Anyway, he asked me to do a picture for some of his merchandise, for his Melvin's Macabre merchandise. Melvin's his character and he does animations, and he put out some merchandise, and he asked me to do a picture for some of his merchandise, and so now that's what I'm doing, and it's what you're watching now. Wow. Anyway, let's clear this one up. That's going to be the question be asked again and again. What's the red painting underneath? That's called underpainting. The red painting I do underneath, I typically use dark red. It's underpainting. Sometimes it can set the tone for the piece as a whole. Other than that, it can just give a base to paint on, because painting straight onto the paper with the colours you're using for the painting can be a bit whack, be a bit shitty. So you put down just a thin base layer of paint that gives a better surface to paint on. And of course, I have been asked before, and I'm sure will be asked again, why do I use dark red if the painting itself is monochromatic? If the painting's in black and white, why am I using red, a colour, for the underpainting? And my answer to that is because I like how it look, and I like, because I don't know, it just gives like a nice sort of deep red tone under the painting. Of course, in true me fashion, I never do anything properly because I don't know how anything works and nothing goes the way it's supposed to. I did attempt to record myself painting the first half of the Melvin, which you see on the left, but the recording stopped after like 6 minutes into about 2 hours or so of painting, and I didn't check until afterwards. So I did manage to at least capture me painting the evil, vicious half of Melvin's face. And as you may be able to see already, as I'm putting in these tones, these grey tones, I decided to give the evil side a bit more atmosphere. I'd underlight it, which is a fairly typical sort of technique used in film and photography and art and such, those creative mediums, giving underlighting, lighting something from beneath as opposed to from above, gives it a much more sort of sinister and spooky tone. And it's quite a sinister, spooky looking face, so I thought it only appropriate to add to that with some underlighting. And I've said before, when you're painting an object, a physical, or trying to paint a physical object, more often than not, you're really painting with light. You're trying to determine where the light falls and where you place the tones of the painting in order to best replicate the look and feel of light falling upon an object. Typically, as you see on the left, the light is coming more or less from above, so the shadows are underneath. But you have to flip that on its head entirely when you're doing underlighting, which can be tricky. Because I think it's fairly typical to draw and paint pictures lit from above. You don't even really think about it as you're doing it. But when you realise you've got to flip it on its head and do the opposite, it's not that hard. But if I were a better man, I'd have built, especially for something that's relatively simple in terms of shapes and such, I'd have made a little sculpture and then shone a torch on it and taken pictures from different angles of different lighting and then emulated that through painting. But I did think about doing that, but I didn't, because who wants to do that much work? I'm not into creating more work for myself, am I? I'm already sitting here for hours and hours painting the goddamn thing. I want to do more work. So, yeah, I mean, this is relatively simple in terms of colour. There's not really much to talk about in terms of Am I using raw umber or burnt umber? Yellow ochre or cadmium yellow? What kind of red is it? Is it cadmium or is it a crimson? It's just black and white. Obviously, the black ink's on the page, and then dark red acrylic, which is just red mixed with a bunch of black, and then watered down and washed over the inks, which does give. I don't know if you can see the black in the hair and the mouth, especially. It is ever so slightly tinged red, which is it's quite a nice look. I think I paint over most of that during the painting, but yeah. Otherwise, it's just grey. Black paint mixed with white paint, and then more white paint, and then more white paint, and then more white paint, building up them layers. Usually, the more layers you use, the more well rendered the artwork will look. I think I definitely got it on the left hand side around his forehead and brow area, where there's quite a lot of layers of paint. Where usually I'll use 1 or 2 layers of paint and just go, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4. Or 5, who knows? And it looks kind of, painty and blotchy, but I'm okay with that. You can see it's a physical shape and it's made out of paint, and that does the job. But I think Sir Canyon of Meat did want this painting to be a bit more rendered, since it's going to be on shirts and such. He doesn't want some messy garbage product to put on his merchandise. So I put in a bit more effort, took a bit more time, a good few more hours than I usually put into a piece. But yeah, those layers, you add them up and up and up and up and up, and it gives it more a more subtle blend to the tones of the painting. And here I'm ruining that red tint that I so lovingly spoke about with some plain old black paint. Like I say, the red underpainting is, in this case, more of just a base to paint on, rather than something that really infuses into the painting. For the most part, I did keep this largely just black and white, tidying up a few bits here and there. I'll show the final piece after all of this painting's done. And you can see I did sort of add in a few details, a few extra creases, and smooth some things out that I wasn't entirely happy with. But yeah, I think now I'm just adding finishing touches and highlights and bits and pieces, because it's coming right towards the end of the painting. So it's the final stretch, the final little bits. Here, I thought I could maybe make the hair look a little bit three-dimensional with a little bit of light on the top and then bottom of the other side. I did end up, as you'll see, painting over that for the final piece. I just thought the hair looked better being solid black, and that was a purely personal aesthetic choice. I just thought it didn't really need the lighting on the hair. It didn't impact the image too greatly. And that's basically it. God, how am I supposed to go on and on? You get grey paint and you keep putting it down until it looks like you painted it all right, and then you're done, basically. Some ink for the eyebrows, and that's the thing. And then here's the final. Here's the final piece, and I did cut a stencil and then did a spray for the background, and as you can see, there's some added details and things, and that's the thing. I believe the meat man liked it enough to put it on his shirt, so he flashed a little sneak peek of one at the end of his latest Melvin video. So I assume they're available. Go look at him, find him and his links, and find the shirt and buy the shirt. Probably that could be cool. And I hope you enjoyed this and learnt a lot from it. The end.